Hey guys, Luton here. So just like that out of nowhere, we've got a new DLC coming up for Arma, Laws of War. So the Laws of War DLC is focusing primarily around more kind of civilian factions, so a new faction, IDAP. The idea with this new faction is that it's a non-governmental organisation which is specialised in rapidly responding to humanitarian disasters. The faction is going to be composed of new IDAP branded clothing and gear, including outfits for specialised roles like explosive ordnance disposal specialists, like mine diffusing, as well as other tools, supplies and other items. Now this is a really cool DLC to come in because it's going to add a lot of sort of logistical variation into missions that you can create. It's also going to add a load of extra tools, a load of extra outfits, all those kind of utilities which are really helpful when building and designing missions. But actually expanding the kind of civilian faction beyond just plain civs is going to be a really cool thing. So this is an exciting thing, and of course it gives the opportunity for our guys on the ground to maybe have a couple of people in there playing as the IDAP, and then others got to come rescue them or whatever. There's many ways I can see this happening and working. So what do we get in this DLC? Well, actually quite a lot of things. It's all quite small stuff, but there's a huge variety. So begin with their van. So they're throwing in a new van in the mix, and it's actually kind of cool though because it's got a lot of different liveries, a lot of different skins where you can basically, obviously with the skin, design different roles, so whether it's an ambulance or whether you're transporting supplies or chemicals or resources or medical or all different kinds of things there. They've got some new drones in the mix, so there's a new drone to move cargo, supplies, and also a drone for demining operations. There's a new mine dispensing tool, the APRS. This is an effective controversial area denial weapon system. I'm pretty sure the guys are gonna not enjoy that, so it's basically like a new horrific mine in there. They've got some new outfit stuff, so vests, bags, headgear and face wear. Lots of different things, so messenger bags, safety vests, hard hats, press helmets, etc. All those kind of things again help you to build your scenarios and flesh things out. Now along with that DLC, it's also going to be supported by a major Arma 3 platform update with new content and feature extensions. This platform update is free. So the actual IDAP stuff, as with other premium content, that's going to be the DLC element, but it also comes with another update. So what's in that free update? Well, we're going to have cluster strikes and UXO. So refined cluster strikes, which I'm sure... Imagine mortars and artillery, but yeah, cluster bombs. Provide a highly destructive form of warfare, while the newly introduced simulation and unexploded ordnance means that some cluster bomblets might not actually explode on impact, and that could be really bad. Of course, if you have guys that get hit by these and then they have to get people in there to try and rescue them, pick them up, that's going to be problematic. Now they're making some changes to mines. Mines, of course, been in forever and always been semi-problematic, whether or not, you know, they're easily diffused or can go off or whatever. So several improvements going to be made to identifying and clearing of mines and explosives, making for a more manual process with a greater emphasis on the mine detection tool. So it'll be interesting to find out some more info and test that out. So with those drones we mentioned before, you can now drop informational pamphlets from the sky using the new utility drone, which can be picked up and read by people on the ground. You can also apply your own leaflet designs to your own custom scenarios. Not too sure what the role of that may be. I mean, it's like a nice scenario thing in terms of propaganda, and I can imagine a few scenarios there, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to work in terms of performance. You imagine dropping lots of objects all over the place and people picking them up. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but we shall see. Some new additions to the field manual covering the laws of armed conflict. I mean, they seem to be focusing on this idea of not just all-out war in this DLC and this expansion, but the idea of kind of, you know, actually focusing on what targets to engage, being aware of civilians and all these kind of things. So again, interesting to see how that works, but as we know, performance is always an issue when you have like tons of civilians down plus all your other objects in missions, etc. There's going to be some new scenarios as well for people to play through, for the guys who enjoy single player scenarios. There's going to be additional content as well in support of operations, so there's going to be all sorts of stuff like medical supplies, cardboard boxes, food sacks, bottles, water, packages, blankets, stretchers, IV bags, body bags, more. Again, that's good logistics because that'll be useful for me in Zeus missions to create logistic camps or stockpiles that need to be protected or captured or transported or whatever. You know, it gives you a lot of variation there for mission stuff. Also, there'll be some elements in there which you could, you know, speculate and use for different roles and different scenarios. Cluster bombs in, they're pretty controversial. I think they're actually banned in real life, but 3 new faction-specific cluster munitions from aircraft, but also deal with unexploded ordnance that might be left behind afterwards. So again, if you were bombing, for example, an enemy position, and you were doing that with your faction-friendly bombs, like cluster bombs, but then you actually have to get into that site afterwards, that could be dangerous. So it could be a good way of clearing and destroying a site, but then you have to be very aware of unexploded ordnance afterwards. New decorative objects, so again this is another cool thing in terms of fleshing out scenarios and making stuff, and also they're showing us some elements here, but it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what other stuff comes in when we actually get this, and it's always really exciting for me because it's like having a load of new toys in the box that we can play with. So stuffs like shelter tents, floor canvases, new furniture, aircon units, plastic net fences, all this kind of stuff, so that's kind of cool. And again, those things, they look like decontamination tents as well, so that could be really, really cool because again, it helps me with the, you know, chemical biohazard scenarios. That's really cool having that stuff in there. And then just at the end, they provided some other screenshots in here, so you can see here outside of a hospital, got some ambulance gear, and you can see the guys with their sort of medical outfits on. And again, that could be really, really cool, because again, you could have roles where, for example, you maybe have to escort in these kind of medics to a scenario to maybe do humanitarian. Maybe you've got to protect them while they do a humanitarian mission. The guys on the ground have actually got to defend, and so that could actually make defense missions work a bit better if they actually have to protect people who are trying to do other things and not focus all of their role just on defending. So actually, that's something which I straight away can imagine could work really well. Got some pictures of supplies here, and you can see that kind of sacking and, you know, all of the logistical stuff that we could use. And again, last picture, there's got press guy with his sort of messenger bag and all these kind of things, and dropping the propaganda pamphlets behind that. Yes, I think this is looking really cool, and it's coming up at the start of September. That's the release date for this. The price is coming in just standard usual, so it's going to be €10, $12, and that's US dollars, and £9 British as well. A portion of this is also going to go to the International Committee of the Red Cross, so that's a really, really cool thing as well. Doing a little bit of a donation for charity as well with this DLC. Looking forward to this. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comments, and I'd be interested to know what thoughts you have about other upcoming DLC, and if anybody has any cool ideas, maybe I'll make a video kind of rationalizing ideas for future DLCs or packs for Arma. And it shouldn't really be, I think if you're coming up with an idea for a DLC, it shouldn't really be like one thing, it should be like a range, like a package of stuff. So it's not just like, oh, it'd be cool to have like X helicopter or whatever, but like a package of things or something which fleshes out and expands the scope of the game. If you've got ideas for that, guys, throw it down below, and maybe I'll turn that into a new series if we have some really good suggestions. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for some more Arma 3.